Hey guys, welcome into NY Sports MC. Thank you guys for tuning in this Sunday night. Hope you guys have all had a great weekend and a great week. Got something lined up for us today. We are going to go through some positional rankings. I've been putting this together. That's why it started a little bit late. Wanted to see if I can get this working. So I was on the tier list website, kind of setting it all up for us. Going to go through the roster. I put about 60 some odd people in there. Not everybody in the whole 90 man. Most of the people I didn't include are people that have no chance of really making the team. How's it going, Andrew? How's it going, Steven? Thank you guys for coming on in. But put most of them. So I do have a little note sheet here. So if you see me glancing off to the side, it's checking out. It's a note sheet to try to remember some of these guys. I know most of them just based on their face, but there's some players that are like lower level players in this roster that I'm going to probably forget who they are. Hopefully I don't, but let's see if we can get this going here. Did I just? Let's see if I can figure this out, how to do this. Oh, right. Yeah, it's all right. I was late, but I was trying to get this up. So it's okay to be late. Can you guys, where did it go now? All right. I'm still working through this. Can you guys see? Somebody put in the chat. Can you guys see the rankings? I said it's my first time trying to do this, so you guys let me know. Yeah, you can. Perfect. I can see it on there. All right. So let's get right into this. We're going to go down the list of these pitchers here. I'll do like 5 to 10, and then I'll kind of stop and see if you guys have any input on where I put these people and what you think, right? So let's go through it. First one here, just based on how they save the pitchers, Alex Lewis. I'm going to have Alex Lewis as a below average starter. I truly hope, Goose, what's going on? I truly hope that he is not a starter. I hope that he is a bench player. I think he's a better backup than he's a starter. Matt O'Leary did this. That's okay. I just created this myself. So let's see how it goes. Blesson Austin, I will put as an average starter. I think with Blesson Austin, he showed some signs last year. Also did get benched towards the end of last year. I did read something recently that he got very upset that he was benched and has been working extremely hard to improve this offseason. So I'd like to see where he's at. I think he'd be an average starter just based on his sample size is very, very small. So I'm going to put an average starter. Browns, who's this? This is BJ Bello. I'm going to say he's going to be cut. BJ Bello played a little bit last year, but obviously that was more due to injury. I can see him being a bench/special teamer, but I just don't think he's going to make it with the amount of people that we have at that linebacker position. BJ Bello is going to be the first person I've cut. Mekhi Becton, for rookies, it's going to be hard for me to put them above average starter. For Becton, that's what we got to hope for this year. One is that he will be an average starter for us. I think he's going to be an elite run blocker, and then he's going to have to kind of work through the pass blocking as he just continues to develop, as he learns the game, right? So the competition is going to be much, much higher than that, than what he faced last year. So I will put Mekhi Becton at average. I think in the next few years he'll be into these upper categories, but you have to put the rookie at average for right now. Andrew, here we go. Brett Maher. I'm going to put Brett Maher as a – see, now this is tough because Brett Maher – let's go average. And I was going between below average to average. And, Andrew, I know you love the kickers and you're always asking about him, so I'm going to go into a little more detail. The reason I'm going to put him average is he's an elite kicker when it comes to long distance, 50-plus yarders. He is elite. I just saw a video recently of him working with Thomas Hennessy and Mann, and they were working on a snap, hold, and kick, and he banged a 65-yarder easy, dead center. So it's amazing how he's really, really good from deep, but he's really, really bad from like 40 and in. So it's just tough. He needs to work on the consistency, and that's why I'll put him average, because I think he's above average to elite when it comes to those 50-plus, but when it comes to inside, he's really below average. So I kind of average that together, and I'll put him as an average starter. Poole, elite starter. And in this sense, I'm going to preface this by saying he's an elite starter in the slot. He's an elite slot corner. He would not be an elite starter on the outside. He is an elite slot corner. So I have Poole there. He was one of the best slot corners last year. I think his PFF grade was like top 5. So you got to put him in there elite. I mean, one of the best slot corners in the league. No rush. Am I going too fast, Stephen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go to this next one, and then we're going to take – I'll just wait to see if you guys have any comments on it. But Brian Winters, I'm going to have as a below-average starter as well. So if we want to kind of tier – I'm not going to tier them within the groups, though. I'm not saying that Alex Lewis is better than Winters or Winters is better than Alex. I think they would both be a below-average starter. Like I said, I would really love to put Alex Lewis into this bench spot. I think that Winters is the better player if he's healthy. The problem with Winters is he's always playing hurt, and that doesn't help him. So that's how I have these first few guys here. Let me see. We got 6 people in here. That's great. Get back over to StreamYard here. I just wanted to pop in. All right, perfect. So Cager. Cager's tough. You guys know that practice squad for both of them. Andrew, you're going to have to say who you're saying practice squad for. I'm not really sure. Oh, out of the league for them? Yeah, probably. There's a good chance they could end up in the cut, but for Cager right now, I'm going to put him practice squad. I think he can make the team and be a bench player or a situational player, but I'm going to have him practice squad. Who is this? I don't know who that is right now. I have to remember who that is in a second, so we'll come back to him. But this is Trenton Cannon, cut. I had high hopes for Trenton Cannon last year. I thought that he could have fit what Gase likes to do. I know he's a running back where these other guys are wide receivers, but I felt like he had a lot of skills of like Wilson or Jakeem Grant, like those smaller, really fast, really shifty guys. But just didn't work, right? And then he got hurt last year. We bring in Gore. We bring in Pirine. I just don't see Trenton Cannon making the team. Cashman, rotational situational player. I think at first, he was looking pretty good. I mean, actually, at first, when he first started really getting the reps, you were able to tell that he should not have been in there. That he wasn't ready yet for that role. But obviously, with Mosley going down, with Williamson going down in the preseason, he kind of got forced in there. And then as it kind of started to build up, he started to play better. But this year, it's going to be rotational situational. He needs to continue to develop. I can see him in there on some passing downs. He does have quite a bit of speed. He can cover a little bit of ground. So Definitely like Cashman in the long run. I think that there's a chance he could develop. I think you'll see him as a big special teams player this year. But I have Cashman as a rotational, situational player this upcoming year. Next player we have is Jamison Crowder. Again, the same reason I put Poole up here is why I'm going to put Jamison Crowder up here. Not that he's an elite wide receiver. He's not a number 1 or number 2. He's an elite slot wide receiver. One of the top 5 slot receivers in the league last year. If you look at grades from within the slot, he was very, very good. So I have him as an elite slot, right? Not just an elite wide receiver in general, an elite slot wide receiver. So if anybody tries to come back and say, how are you going to put Crowder as an elite wide receiver in the league? He's not in the league. It's elite slot wide receiver. So we're going to leave Sam Darnold for a little bit here. Ashton Davis, situational, rotational player. I think he's going to be, used on maybe all over the field by Greg Williams. I think he's going to be used in those 3 safety sets. I'm a big believer that Jamal Adams is probably going to still be here this year. It doesn't look like they're going to trade him, even though you keep hearing these rumors. You can see him special teams quite a bit. Ashton Davis, he could be returning kicks, but I think he's going to be playing a lot of that situational on the defensive side, and then you'll see him a lot on special teams. I don't think he can make it. This is Daniel Brown, tight end. I would say cut. I really liked him. I thought that he showed some potential as a receiving tight end, but with Herndon back, with Griffin back, there's just not enough room for him. So he's going to be a cut this year. Pierre Desir, average starter, right? We're hoping that he can get back to maybe a slightly above average starter, but right now you'd have to put him as average starter at best. Dotson, I'm going to put him as a bench player. I just don't know enough about Dotson. We haven't seen enough from him. I don't want to expect anything from him. So I'm going to put him as a bench player. I think he can make it, but this is where you can see Dotson potentially becoming a cut and Cager becoming that rotational situational player where he kind of comes in and plays some of that, red zone threat, big guy threat type of deal. Chuma Edoga. So Chuma's going to be a bench player. I want him to be a bench player. I want him to be that backup tackle. He played both left and right tackle last year. So let him be on the bench. Let him back up, our 2 tackles. These pictures became really small. So Fant. I think Fant's going to be an average starter. I know he hasn't really started much, but he did play well as that blocking tight end. He put some good film out there this past year. So I'm excited to see what he can do this upcoming year. I think, like I said, average starter is what we should expect from him. And if we get that, we should be happy with that, right? I don't want to put him below average. As I said, he did play really well against Nick Bosa, and that kind of makes me bump him to like what I think would be an average starter. This is projections, obviously, right, for this upcoming year. This is Matthias Fairley. I think he's going to be a bench player, backup safety. Hopefully he doesn't play much, special teams, all of that. Foley Fatukasi. I'm going to put him as above average starter. The only reason I'm putting him as above average and not elite, I really wanted to go elite, is because he hasn't played that full gamut of downs yet. He's been a rotational player, but he is an elite run defender. He is a very, very good player. Had one of the highest PFF grades on the Jets roster last year. He is a very, very good player. Oh, this is Fales. Fales is going to be a cut. I couldn't remember who that was at first. The pictures are so small. With Flacco in the building now, Fales is going to be a cut. He may make the team week 1 just if Flacco is not healthy, but he's going to be cut after that. I mean, I guess you could possibly see him on the practice squad, but I guess let's put him in the practice squad. I think Adam Gase likes him enough to where he's going to want to have a fourth guy, especially with, Darnold haven't played a full 16 yet, all the injuries. Andrew, here we go again. Another special teamer, Sam Ficken, cut. I think the thing is, I have Maher winning the kicking battle, at least right now. I'm not going with projections of who's going to, or could we possibly cut Maher as well and get another kicker? Yes, but I'm not going to get into any projections of free agents that I think could potentially make the team. So with that said, I'm going to go with Maher over Ficken just because they're both below average when it comes to inside. Maher has that really big leg, so I'm putting him ahead. I like Matt O'Leary's better. Okay, so go to Matt O'Leary's channel. Nobody's holding you over here, Steven. You don't have to stay. Flacco, bench player, right? Backup quarterback, has the opportunity to step in for us if need be. Hopefully not, but solid backup for us. So Rams. This is Franklin Myers. I'm not sure where I'm going to put him just yet. So we're going to leave him right down here. Doug Bryan is – yeah, we don't want Doug Bryan. Frank Gore, rotational player. I think he still can bring a lot of value to this team. I know you are. I'm kidding too, man. You can't don't dish it out if you can't take it either, Steve. But Frank Gore can still provide a lot of value. He's a grinder. He can get that short yardage. He can spell bell. I think that he's going to be a rotational, situational player, and also be that great veteran locker room leader that we need as well. Griffin, I'm going to have a rotational player because I think that Herndon's going to be the starter. I think Griffin has the ability to be an average starter in this league as well. But I'm just going to say that we're not going to start two tight ends, so I'm going to have him as his role as being that rotational, situational, passing down guy. Hopefully Gore will be the running back coach next year. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if he transitioned. That's what I wanted to happen with Josh McCown. I wanted McCown to transition into the quarterback's coach. This is, Harrison. We're going to leave Harrison right there. Bryce Hall, rotational player this year. I think Bryce Hall is going to be redshirted and kind of be like what Blessian Austin did. I think that he can be an average to above average starter given time. But for this upcoming year, he's going to be a rotational, situational player. Yeah, no, Griffin is very good, Andrew, and Sam does love him as well. What I'm saying is I think, yeah, so if you want, I can put him in average starter. I think he's an average starter in the league. Let's do that because this is not saying that he's going to start for us, but he is an average starter caliber player. So I'll put him there. I was just kind of putting him in a rotational situation. I think that's what his role is going to be on the team. But yes, he is an average starter in this league for sure. So we'll put him up there because that's where his talent is, even though that's not going to be where he plays for us. Henry Anderson, because of what happened last year, I'm going to put him as a below average starter. If this was going into last year, I probably would have had him as an average starter. He had a very nice first year with us. Did not transition well to the Greg Williams defense. I think he was below average. I think you could see him lose some playing time to some of the other guys on the roster. James Harrison played better than anyone else that played center last year, but he's going to be a bench player this year. Hopefully he doesn't see the field. He's going to probably back up center and guard. With the new additions that we made on the offensive line, I just see him as a really high-end backup player. So I would say he's a high-end bench player for us this upcoming year. Hennessy. So this is weird. I'm just going to put him as an average starter. I mean, he's a snapper. He's very good at what he does. But I mean, snappers only do so much. How can I put above average snapper? They all pretty much do the same thing. He is pretty good at covering as well. So I'll just put him as an average starter for Hennessy. Herndon. I think Herndon is above average tight end. I know that if Dark Demonic's in here. He doesn't feel the same way about Herndon, but I think he's an above average tight end. He showed us the end of his rookie year. He was very, very good. One of the top tight ends in the league. Can't keep that many O linemen. How many O linemen do I have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6. I don't got that many yet. I mean, well, I'm going to put them in, and then we're going to count them up. And if we got to cut some people, we'll cut some people. Because, like I said, I want to try to see if we can make this to 55 man. So if I end up putting too many in the positions, then we'll have to cut them out. I did not dry run this before. I literally got this up right in time to come on. That's why I was a few minutes late. Huff. I'm going to put Huff as a rotational situational player. I think Huff is going to make this team. I think he's going to be a pass rushing specialist, and he's going to get in there sometimes. Jamal Adams, no doubt about it. Doesn't matter how we feel about him right now, what he said about this team. If he's on this team, he is an elite starter in this league, and no questions asked. James Burgess. This is tough. So James Burgess, where do we have James Burgess? Tough. I'm at Burgess as a bench player. I really like what Burgess did last year. He played well when called upon, when everybody else went out. I think he deserved to be on this team. The tough thing is there's so many inside linebackers on this team. So many. It's going to be really, really difficult to keep everybody. But I'm going to have him making it over, so let's find him. Where is he? He's probably one of these guys I don't even remember. But let me see if I can find it here on my other computer. Hold on. Is that – so I do have the pictures of – okay. This is Cameron Clark. I'm going to have Cameron Clark as a bench player. I hope that Cameron Clark will make – you didn't even get to the new guys yet. Yeah, I'm trying to get to them all. Some of the guys I just didn't remember who they were, so I couldn't put them in. But this is Cameron Clark. I am hoping that Cameron Clark is a starter this year. I think he could be an average to below average starter this year. I think he could be better than either of these guys at the guard position. But for right now, I'm going to have to put him as a bench player this first year. Being kind of that mid-round pick, it's going to be a lot easier to have him in there on the bench spot. I think that's just a better spot for him this year. But I would not be surprised if he starts this year. So let me see here. I'm just trying to find sorry, just stick with me for a second. Like I said, I can't remember all these people's images here. Here it is. This is Neville Hewitt. That's who I was looking for. I think Neville Hewitt's going to be a cut this year. I liked him a lot going into the year. I liked him as a nice depth piece for us. I liked him better than Burgess. But I think Burgess outplayed him last year. And I think that's going to be a difference. I think Neville Hewitt is going to be a cut this year because there's just so many people in that linebacker position that it's going to be very difficult to make the team. So who else do we have here? Sorry, still just okay, this is Josh Andrews, the offensive lineman. We just signed him this offseason, so I have a feeling he's going to probably make the team. But we do have a lot of people on the offensive line. We already have 2 backup guards. Let's put – I'm going to leave him there for right now because I don't know where he's going. Jordan Jenkins, an average starter. He's a nice edge setter. He gets you 7 or 8 sacks a year. I think he would be a really, really nice compliment to an elite edge, which we don't have. But nice player to have. Nice starter to have. Like I said, he's an average starter in this league here. So Harvey Lange, he's a really good bench player. Let's leave him right there. We got to see where we're going to be at as far as the amount of people that we're going to have. I'm not sure if he's going to make the team or not. He's one of those guys that he's a nice special teamer. He's a nice little depth piece, but will he make the team? I don't think so. So, or I'm not sure yet. So we got to see. I'm going to put in the people I think will make it over him first, and then we'll kind of count it out here. This is Josh Adams. I don't think he makes it. Just too many people in the running back room. I think we're only going to carry 3, and the 3 is going to be Le'Veon Bell, Frank Gore, and La'Mical Pirine. So I think he will not make it. If he's still practice squad eligible, I would put him there, but I'm not 100% sure if he is. So let's put him up there because I know he was on the practice squad at one point last year, but he may be too seasoned now. Le'Veon Bell. You know what? I believe in Le'Veon Bell. I think Le'Veon Bell is still an elite talent in this league. His stats last year may not have proven that, but it was more about that offensive line, how atrocious it was. So you look at what Bell was able to do with how bad of an offensive line that we had. It was just enough that he was getting positive yards. And actually, he did an interview with Hot 97 where he was kind of talking about Jamal Adams. He was kind of talking about himself. And he was saying that he didn't blame the offensive line. He didn't blame Adam Gase. He just said that he could have been better. He could have been in better shape, and he's not letting that happen again. And he's been working out like crazy. He said all he's been doing during this quarantine is working out and then recording in his little studio. He likes to do his little rap stuff on the side, which I'm fine with. I don't mind if he does that. But that's the thing is he's working out really, really hard this year, and he's going to be a stud. If that line can hold up for him, which I think it will be much improved, you will see the Le'Veon Bell of old come back. I think he has a lot to prove this year, and we're going to see that this year. So now you guys may call me crazy that I'm going to put a rookie so high. But, Andrew, here you go. Braden Mann, I'm going to put as an above-average starter right out of the gate. This guy is going to be a huge weapon for this team. He has a big-time leg, and he also has the finesse and the placement to pin him. I really, really like this guy. I think he's going to be an elite punter in this league for a very, very long period of time. So that's somebody I think that was a great pick where we picked him. And there's some people like, why you got to draft a punter? Somebody like this, you're looking like maybe a Shane Lechler, right? Like what the Raiders had with Shane Lechler, where he was just one of the best punters, if not the best punter in the league for a decade plus. So Braden Mann, I think, is going to be a huge, huge weapon, and I have him as an above-average starter in his rookie season. This is Steve McClendon. I'm still going to put Stevie as an average starter. I think he can still has something in him, right? I think he's going to be more of a rotational player now, though. I think Foley Fatukasi is probably going to take more of the bulk of that position, but he is still an average starter in this league. He's still, when he's out there, it's going to produce very, very well for us. And obviously he's that big mentor, that leader on that defense in the front. He's usually speaking motivational speech, things like that. This is Braden, I think, right? I wish they were in order over here on my computer. Hold on one second. Oh, this is McDermott. McDermott, I think, should be a cut. McDermott is a tackle, though. So, let's see. Let's put McDermott back down here for a second. Connor McGovern. Oh, he probably will shank his first punt. I think McClendon is an above average starter, gets slept on. He does. The reason I'm putting him at average is I just don't think he's going to play that much for us this year. I think he still does have above average potential in him, but I got Foley Fatukasi up there. So I didn't want to put them both right up there for right now. I'll put McClendon as an average starter just because he is getting up there in age. McDermott. So, I mean, McGovern. I'll say McGovern was above average center. I think he played very well last year. I would have him as an above average starter. I don't think like I said, I definitely don't think he's an average starter there. So this is Mollett. So Mollett, I'm going to leave over here with Hairston because one of those guys is not making this team this year. Morgan, bench player, right? Bench developmental. Hopefully the answer to our long-term backup quarterback or maybe even a trade piece in the future if he can show out well. The thing that's going to be tough is there may not be any preseason games this year, so he can't show anything in the preseason this year potentially if they get rid of the two that they reduced it down to now. But maybe he can kind of work behind the scenes this year and then really impress next preseason, and we either have a very nice backup quarterback or we'll have a very nice trade piece. Mims, I'm going to put Mims as an average starter for right now. The rookies is really hard to put them anything above what we're hoping is an average starter. I tell you what, if Mims can be an average starter, average number 2 wide receiver in the league in year 1, we'll take that all day. We will take that all day because he will develop into a better player as he progresses. But if we can get average wide receiver 2 from him right away, that's a much, much of an improvement over our wide receiver 2 last year. CJ Mosley, elite. He was an all-pro for a reason. He showed us week 1 how much of an impact he made. He was single-handedly destroying the Bills week 1 and just, was a shame that he got hurt. I would love to see him this year, all 16 games plus, and be able to kind of see what he can do with the rest of his team on defense. La'Mical Pirine, I'm going to put him as a rotational, situational player. I think he is going to get rotated in the mix. I think you'll see him spelling Bell and Gore and kind of playing. I hope that they use situations where they have multiple running backs on the field at the same time. I could see Pirine and Bell, or even Pirine and Gore. If Bell's getting a breather, I can see them kind of being two of them being on the field at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see what to do with the running back position. But I think that he will definitely get some time this year. Peanut is an average starter. He played pretty well last year. He played really well the year before, lining up next to CJ Mosley. He'll be back again with CJ Mosley now. It's just going to be interesting to see with this linebacker position how they rotate everybody in. How does Greg Williams utilize everybody's skill set? Because going into it, right, I'm not going to cut good players. If they end up cutting players, I'm not cutting somebody just for salary cap. So, like Avery Williamson, I'm going to jump to him right now. He's an above-average starter in this league. I know he's coming off a big injury, but he's a tackling machine. He is really, really elite run defender in that inside of that defense. And I'm not going to cut him and say it's a cap cut. No, right now he's an above-average starter. We need him on this team. So it's going to be interesting to see where Peanut even fits in, if Williamson is on this team and healthy, and if CJ Mosley is on this team and healthy. So they've already kind of said that they're going to go into camp with Williamson. They want to see where he's at coming off that injury. And if he shows out, I mean, I was so excited to see Mosley and Williamson play next to each other last year. Obviously, Williamson went down in the preseason. Mosley went down week 1, so we didn't get to see it at all. But you're talking an all-pro and what I think is a Pro Bowl caliber player on the inside together. That's pretty impressive, and I just want to see what they can do. Nathan Shepherd, rotational player. If this was going into last year, I might have put him on bench or even cut, but he showed a little bit in the limited time that he had. He was suspended in the beginning of the year. He is getting a little bit older. I know he was like an older draft pick, so he's probably in his mid to upper 20s now, and he's only been in the league for a few years. But I think he could be a rotational player. Probably maybe take some snaps from Henry Anderson, who we have over here as a below average starter. It'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of depth on that defensive line and a lot of people that are going to be competing for spots. Greg Van Roten, I got him as an average starter. You know, he wasn't a top tier free agent. He wasn't a top tier guard last year, but he wasn't below average either. You expect middle of the road play for him. He was a player that, you know, wasn't highly touted coming out. He actually played in, I think, like the XFL or the Canadian, not the XFL, maybe the Canadian League, or he played in some other league because he couldn't even make it in the NFL early in his career. Obviously improved, became a starter in Carolina. You know, I got him, like I said, average starter is where I would put him, and that's what I'm hoping for. But I tell you what, average starter is better than anything we had at guard last year. Our guard position was atrocious last year, so he is definitely, you know, an average starter in the league. Henry Anderson knew the season was over, so he gave up. Expect him to be better this year, hopefully. But for now, based on what he did last year, I got to put him down there. And I don't like if that is true, Steven, that's a big negative on him for me. You know, that he gave up. I mean, nobody else seemed to give up. I mean, they started coming back. So some players just cash it in, as sad as it is with money. Yeah, I guess so. So I'm kind of jumping around here. Trayvon Wesker, I know somebody, I think maybe it was Andrew or Joe, somebody asked about fullback. Trayvon Wesker will play that fullback role, but fullback's not really used that much right now. He's going to play that fullback, that H-back, that blocking tight end. He's going to be a rotational piece when we're kind of going heavy or when we're trying to establish a running game. You'll see Wesker out there quite a bit more. So that's where I have Wesker for right now. Vincent Smith, I have as a rotational player too. I am high on Vincent Smith. I'm hoping that he continues to progress. You saw last year that they were designing some plays for him to try to get him down, you know, deep down the field. I can see him being Robbie like earlier in his career where he just kind of comes in, runs a bunch of those 9 routes, a bunch of the go routes, tries to blow the top off the defense. But he's definitely, you know, pencil him in as the number 4 for right now when it comes to the wide receiver depth chart. He's definitely going to be a rotational piece to try to spread that defense out a little bit. Quinnen Williams. I'm going to put Quinnen as an average starter. I think he has potential to make it up to the above average spot. But for right now, based on what he did last year, we have to put him in an average starter spot. You're just high. He's a number 4 or 5. That's what I said. Vincent Smith's a number 4. I said Pennsylvania number 4. Did I say something different? I said I think he's going to come in situational spots to run those 9 rounds, Steven. But if I said something different, then I'm sorry, but that's how I see him. So this guy right here, Kyle Phillips. Kyle Phillips is a weird spot because I think he's going to be a rotational piece, but he has potential to be an average starter. He showed some signs last year. I'm going to have to put him with Nathan. I know I said I wasn't ranking these, but I want to put him right next to Nathan Shepherd because both of those guys kind of showed in flashes. Yeah, I know. I do. They come up 30 seconds after. So, you know, that I read it as soon as they come in, Steven. But it's when they come in. I can only read so fast. So let me see who some of these other people are here. Oh, this is Jabari Zuniga. And then where is because I want to go through both of these guys at the same time. Hold on one. All right. Here we go. This Basham and Jabari Zuniga. So this is going to be interesting because Basham was probably a below average starter last year. Had some signs. He's not as good as Jordan Jenkins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Basham as a below average starter. I really think he should be a rotational or like bench player. Zuniga, I'm going to have him as rotational for his first year. Rotational pass rusher. I don't think he's going to be a full-time starter yet. I think that's where we're going to be best off putting him for right now. Let's see. Brashad Perryman. This is an interesting one, right? Because if we go based on his whole career, he's a below average starter to a bench player. But if we go based upon what he did at the end of last year, he was playing at an above average starter level. So it's tough to kind of place him right now. Do we place him as above average? Do we place him as average? I'm going to say this. I'm going to preface this. I'm going to say he's in – and I'm actually going to put him all the way up here because he's the closest to there. He's an average number one. He's not an elite receiver. He's not an above average receiver. He's an average number one, middle of the pack, right? Hopefully he can burst into this above average spot. But for right now, I think that's where you have to put him just because the sample size is not big enough for him. Sam Darnold, call me crazy, but this is my projection for this year, above average starter. I think if you look at last year, you look at his numbers, you'd probably put him average. I wouldn't put him below average. But if you look at everything, his pressure numbers, if you look at some of those stats that I read last week, right, he has shown that he can be elite with really subpar talent around him. So I want to put him as above average for right now. I think he's working his way up. I think if the line is as improved as we think it will be, he's going to have an above average season. The talent around him from a skilled position has definitely gotten better. So if we look at the running back position, I would say it's kind of a wash, right? Le'Veon Bell is coming back. And then P. Ryan, I think, is going to be kind of like Powell. Probably won't be as good as Powell right away, but he's going to be like Powell. Frank Gore is going to be a pretty good backup as well. So I'd have our running back as pretty much being like the same, right? It's all going to be contingent on Bell. So Bell's back, so I'm going to have that pretty much the same. Tight end position is going to be improved because you have Griffin, who played very well. Now you have Herndon back, so that's going to be improved. Now you look at the wide receiver position, that is improved as well. Because even if you go Perryman versus Robbie Anderson, you put that as a wash. Even if you want to put Robbie slightly ahead of Perryman because he's done it a little bit more, Mims is better than anything else that we had last year. And Crowder's obviously back in the slot, so that's exactly the same. And then Vincent Smith's just 1 year more into the system, 1 year more into developing. I think he'll be a better version this year as well. So I think the wide receiver group is going to be better this year as well. He's going to be on the three guys ahead of this by the time he reaches. Yeah, we'll see with Doxson. Like I said, I got him on the bench for right now. So before I go into any more of these people, let's count up how many we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. 48 so far. So we have 48 out of a 50. So right now we have 48 out of a 55. So obviously 7 more players. So 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So only one of these guys is not making the team unless we make a switch. So how many wide receivers do we have in here? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5. So you know what? Let's go, Cager. Rotation. I'll put him in the bench spot for now. Cager, I really think Cager's going to make this team. So I'm okay carrying 6 wide receivers. I know that's kind of a lot, but I'm going to carry that many this year. So 2 of these guys are not making it. So let's see. Who was in the Rams jersey? That was Franklin Myers. I think Franklin Myers is going to be a cut. I think there's just too much depth on that defensive line. I think the only reason he made the team last year was, like I said, just again, injuries with a lot of the positions. So Franklin Myers I have as a cut this year. I think McDermott has got to make the team because we need another backup tackle. So we have Chumadoga as the only backup tackle right now. So I got McDermott making the team just to be another backup tackle. But I can't see, and I didn't put him in here, Hilbers, the tackle that we got is undrafted. Now I know it's a lot of undrafted people that potentially make the team. But apparently they're high on Hilbers. They like him. I think they'll try to stash Hilbers in the practice squad and keep McDermott for this year. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did go that route. So we traded for Wilson. So I'm going to have to say that Quincy Wilson makes his team as a bench player. I don't think Joe Douglas will want to, even though he was only traded for a 6th-round pick, I don't think he's going to want to say that the pick was that bad, right? That trade was that bad that he cuts him right away. So I think he's going to make the team and be on the bench. Mollett, I think Mollett played better than Harrison last year, so I'm going to put Mollett on the bench as well. I'm going to have. Oh, now we're getting too long here. So I'm going to have Harrison as a cut. There's a lot of bodies in that cornerback room right now, so somebody's got to go. And then Luvu we'll put as a potential situation on the edge. And then who was this again? Oh, this was Lange. Lange's going to be a bench player. He's going to be special team / bench player. And who is this guy? Oh, this was Andrews. So again, do we have Andrews can make it at? Do I have enough room for another player? I think I do. Andrews is probably going to be a bench player as well. So let's see. Let's see if we want to make any moves here. So you got to watch who you put on the practice squad. I feel a lot of our guys will get plucked off from other teams. Yeah, it could happen. I think that's what happens when you bring in a lot of depth, especially at like specific positions like corner, inside linebacker. Like we brought in a lot of people there. So it's going to be tough to kind of move them around. Right now on the practice squad, I only have Fales and Adams. I don't even know if Adams is eligible for the practice squad. Barrios, yeah. Oh, Barrios is I must have missed him on the roster. I don't even have his picture on here. So I knew I was going to miss somebody. I was trying to go down on their website, the roster, and I was trying to do it right before we came on here. So where would I have Barrios? I can see Barrios getting cut. It's going to be interesting. So it's going to be between – so if Barrios were to make this team, Cager's not. And it's that simple, obviously. But the reason I can see Barrios potentially getting cut is that if he loses his return job, how much value does he have left to the team? So Perine and Davis both have a lot of return experience. So, and Vincent Smith has kick return experience. So there's a lot of people that can win some of those positions at kick return or punt return. And if Barrios loses those positions, then he might be gone. So I would have him as a fringe. I'd have him and Cager as his fringe players, right? Like I said, if they feel they can stash Cager, they'll probably try to stash him on the practice squad and keep Barrios just to kind of have more people. But who knows if Cager is playing well, no preseason could help us. So with no preseason games, if we do, because right now they're scheduled to have 2. If we have no preseason games, that these undrafted guys could be easier to stash because no other teams are going to be able to see them play against, in preseason games. So, like, for example, when we had Woodhead, and Woodhead blew it up in the preseason, and then we tried to stash him, everybody saw New England scooped him up, right? But if it was a year like this year where there's no preseason games, maybe New England doesn't even know who he is, or they know who he is, but they don't think he's that good to try to pluck him from us and put him on a roster because they didn't see him play. So that's where I kind of have Berrios. I'd have, like I said, it's going to be very contingent on if he loses those return jobs. Because if he loses those return jobs, he's going to have a hard time sticking to this roster. What about the linebacker from Baltimore? That's Peanut. He's right here, average starter. I just don't know how much he might play. So New England will have hidden cameras. Yeah, they probably will, and all the other teams' practices, so they know who to get. But yeah, let's just kind of. So what do you guys think so far from this? What is your biggest issue with what I did here? Do you have somebody cut that I maybe don't? Like I said, I can possibly see one of Alex Lewis or Winters being cut. Like I said, I would much rather, if you want to save some money this year, I wouldn't be opposed to cutting Winters. I would want to start Clark, though. I really would. He's right here. I just don't like Alex Lewis as a starter. I love his mentality, and I really love that he came out openly to defend his coach. I think that was very, very big. It was a leadership, right? I really liked when he did that. But what you got to look at, too, is he commits a lot of penalties, right? And with that being said, do we want somebody out there that's going to potentially stall drives because he's going to have holding penalties? So I just don't know if I really want him out there every single down playing for us. I'd much rather him be a backup, because if he has to come in and spell somebody for a little bit, a game or two, that nastiness is really there. Bello I had as a cut. So Bello was on a cut. Brown who? I'm trying to think. Brown. What first name on Brown? Oh, Brown, the tight end. I had him as a cut as well. I just don't think that we're going to carry that many tight ends. I liked him a lot. I would love to keep him. I think he has potential, but you can't keep 4 tight ends. It's going to be very difficult to keep 4, especially if you're going to keep 6 wide receivers. You can't keep 4 tight ends. So Daniel Brown is going to be a cut this year, I think, because he's not better than Herndon. He's not better than Griffin. And Wesco, he's better than Wesco when it comes to receiving, but Wesco is that blocker, right? So I think his only chance would be to beat out Griffin. And the only way I'd potentially keep Brown over Griffin is because he's younger, but Griffin, I think, is just too much better. He showed good chemistry with Darnold last year. Dixon, I think Dixon's going to be a cut. Again, I didn't put everybody. Like I said I wasn't going to put 90 people in here, right? That would have just been too much. So the people that I didn't put on here, I would have as cuts. But like somebody like Goodry or even Shaquem Carter, I think Carter could be practice squad. Hilbers, I mentioned him just before. I think Hilbers could potentially beat out McDermott. But with the way that this offseason is going, I can see them keeping McDermott and stashing Hilbers on the practice squad. Fairley, I had as a backup. He's going to be one of the backup safeties for this team. You'll see him on special teams. He probably won't play too much. I'd have him as the 4th safety, right? So even if we go into 3 safety sets, I think that you'd have obviously Adams, May. Marcus May wasn't on here. I just realized that. We didn't even have Marcus May. So Marcus May would be here in the above average. I don't know how I missed Marcus May, but I would put him in above average. I think he's a very good free safety, but how I missed him, I don't know. Like I said, I was literally on the Jets website going down the roster. I was trying to rush to get it up in time. Like I said, I was a few minutes late. Steven wanted to put me in detention with the principal because I was late. So I'd have May as an above average starter in this league. but I can't believe I forgot him. So, yeah, you got May, you got Adams, and then I think Ashton Davis will be the safety that comes in on those 3 safety sets, especially because he's had experience playing corner as well. So he can kind of mark up on somebody man-to-man if he had to. So Farrelly is going to be that 4th safety that really doesn't play much on defense unless there's an injury. I think you'll see him a lot on special teams, though. McGovern's in there. McGovern's in there as an above-average starter. How many O-line do I have? Well, let's count it up. So I have McGovern as the only above average. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 offensive linemen making the team. Phillips is on there too. Phillips is in the rotational right here next to Nathan Shepard. I think Phillips can overtake Henry Anderson for the starting spot and potentially develop into an average starter. So by the end of the year, we can look back and say Phillips was an average starter in this league, and I wouldn't be shocked at it. I just think that coming into the year, he's going to be a rotational player. So that's where I put him for right now. We got to see it a little more, right? I've mentioned this a lot of times in other videos. When people are only play situationally and they're not a full-on starter, it's really hard to project how they would be in a full starter role because you can get away with like one move or maybe one move in a counter, right? But as you start to play every down and you start to play starter snaps, these other teams will start to watch a lot more film on you. They're going to start to realize what you are good at, what you're weak at, and then you have to really start to develop and mesh off of that. So it's going to be tough to try to put him any higher than that for right now. So how many linebackers? Linebackers is a spot where, yeah, there's a lot of them. So we have Mosley, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we're calling, I'll put Zuniga in outside linebacker, even though I think he may play more DN. 8, 9, 10. I think I had like 11, but that's 4 positions. So there's a lot of linebackers on this team. It's tough. Yeah, there may be too many there, and somebody may have to go. But what could potentially save them is a few of them are coming back from injury, right? So you're probably going to want to have a little extra backup there at that position. Plus, a lot of those guys are really good at special teams. So Luvu, Langley, they are good special teams players that can really get down and cover. So you may see them keep some extra guys there. I don't really see a position where we're keeping too light of people. I have 3 quarterbacks being kept. I have 3 running backs being kept. I had 6 wide receivers. I had 3 tight ends. We mentioned the offensive line. Corners, we have quite a bit of corners too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got 6 corners, 4 safeties. I don't really see a spot where like we're not keeping up. You got to remember though, too, Andrew, this year I did 55, the new 2 extra, right? So that's why it may seem a lot. They may keep those 2 extra linebackers, right? Where it seems like a lot this year, but with everything going on, the additional roster spots, the fact that a lot of our linebackers are coming back from injury, you can kind of see them put Steven in the cut list. No, we'll put him on the practice squad. We'll keep him on the practice squad. We don't like him enough to dress him or to have him on the 55, but we like him enough to keep him on the sideline. So we'll put him on the practice squad for sure. But Man, this was a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm still learning a lot of different things on here. So wanted to try something out. Like I said, I had my first live guest last week. I was trying to get David on this week. He actually just messaged me back while we were in here saying to let him know. But obviously, it was too late for that. So maybe I'll try to get him or somebody else on next week. But like I said, trying to do a bunch of different things, especially now. I mean, it's just tough. There's not a lot going on, right? I almost thought to myself, what am I even going to do or talk about tonight on the live stream? Because it's just really difficult at this point. Not a lot really going on. I almost just canceled it, but I didn't want to. I haven't really been putting out videos, so I wanted to at least keep the live stream. But like I said, I appreciate you guys coming out. Please comment down below if there's anything else videos that you want to see. If you guys disagree with this list, let me know. If there's other people I forgot, let me know. Like I said, May, we're going to have his above average starter. I don't know how I missed him there, but that was the big miss on the list. And Braxton Berrios, which is going to be a fringe guy again. Like I said, maybe he makes a roster, maybe doesn't. Depends upon his special teams role and if he can keep that. But I appreciate it all the time when you guys come hang out with me for an hour every Sunday night. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you again on Sunday. As always, Jet up.